I've put a lot of thought into how to show up in my day-to-day so that I am showing up as the person who is capable of accomplishing all of these dreams and these goals. And nothing makes me be able to see it more than when I'm in Costa Rica. I can't always put it to words when I'm here. It takes me coming back home and like having an integration process, but this is a place that is a vessel for me to help me see it. Every time I come here, I see it a little more. And what it is just like my energy, my path, the way I need to show up, and how I can show up in action to put all these dreams into reality. And I have this place to thank for anything you hear from me in the next few months, because this place plants seeds of hope and understanding that everything that's happening right now is part of the process, it's part of the flow, and just being at ease with it and riding the waves. And I'm not even ever surfing when I'm in Costa Rica, but it's like you can't help but be moved by the water here. Had a blow bug off me. Anyways, I am very, very thankful for this place, because a lot of words that you're going to see from me and art you're going to see from me, and just movement, the way in which I'm going to be moving in the world in 2024 is going to be different for a lot of reasons. But this space, this 2 weeks here, added to all the other time I've been in Costa Rica, it's all part of the process.
I am no longer in Costa Rica, but as I said, oftentimes what happens for me is I'll go on these trips and I will have this very distinct feeling of, this is important. There's something I'm learning. There's something that is going to be really big that I take away from this trip. I know it. I don't always have the words for it, and it's usually because I need this space outside of the life event to be able to fully process and integrate and see. And speaking of seeing, when I'm in Costa Rica, I said this before, it's like I always can see that the things that I have had so heavy on my heart and mind as things I should pursue as possible. And then I come back home, and what's always really, really important for me is to be able to have that same knowing and seeing when I'm here, because this is where the work is getting done. And this is what always makes me think about integrating. I really had my own personal experience with integrating that made me understand it beyond just knowing what it meant whenever Steve would have hospital visits. Hospital visits were being put into a pressure cooker, and often I actually found myself leveling up from hospital visits. Yeah, getting my butt very kicked by the realities of ALS, as well as expectations of doctors and just all of the things that came with a hospital visit. I don't know if you just heard my dog fart, but I'm not editing it out because it's real life, and Marlo's so important to me that she's going to sit here and make noises in my videos. But hospital visits always taught me this was a big thing you just went through, and so I would take space after getting home and really reflect on, I learned this about myself, that I am empowered, I can speak up for myself, I can advocate well for Steve, I can understand what doctors are talking about even when they're using the big terminology. And I do know about wound care, and there's so many times where I would be in these hospital visits and I would come home and just lessons would just sink into me. And I could feel myself grow and evolve. And travel has a very similar experience for me. It could be anywhere. Obviously, I've traveled to quite a few places, but I keep returning to Costa Rica, and there's something about Costa Rica that has attached her waters to me, and I don't question it. I just go. And this time around, I actually got to spend time with a friend who lives there. He was very gracious to open up a space to me, as well as do a lot of the heavy lifting, which is driving on Costa Rica roads, as well as taking me to places that you probably wouldn't see unless you're in the space with somebody who lives there, because they know the private beaches, they know the secret roads. And yeah, I feel very, very, very privileged and very blessed. And it was another one of those things where I felt as if Costa Rica, it was just a stepping stone to help me be able to see, how do I bring that knowing and that seeing home? And one of the main things I realized while I was there is I was there for 2 weeks, and I was so disconnected from technology, yet I still stayed in touch with people and still stayed on social media. I've had an interesting relationship with social media since I've been on it, into a sense where I really have put a lot of efforts and energy into building a community. That community has helped me through so many different life changes, and I'm so eternally grateful for it. When I am using social media as a connecting tool, it's healthy for me. But there are a lot of times I'm using social media as a distraction. I didn't do that in Costa Rica once. Who needs to be distracted when you're in paradise? And I was sitting on the beach one day and I said, I can see it. I am able to see so clearly the path for me and how capable I am when I'm in social media, when I'm in Costa Rica. Funny. Because I'm not on social media as a distraction. I'm not actually feeling distracted by much of anything. And yeah, the whole time I was there, I said, when you get home, just remember, you don't have to take these big, long social media breaks that you have been used to reset yourself to use it properly. You need to just ask yourself each time you pick up the phone, am I using this right now to connect or distract? And I don't need distractions at home either. That's the thing. I feel like I need distractions at home because then I go to work and then I feel a little bit stressed out and I come home and I'm just like, oh, maybe I need to decompress for a minute. But the truth is, there's healthier ways for me to unwind from stressful situations outside of using social media as a distraction tool. And so that was a big thing that hit me while I was in Costa Rica, was if I took the same amount of space when I'm home regularly, not just when I'm on a social media break, I'm talking daily, I have this practice set up where I am creating the space for me to be able to see things. The space is where it's all at. Because when I was just sitting and meditating in the sunsets, I always had visualizations, I had understandings, I had epiphanies, I had the ideas of how to do things that I've been struggling with in projects to complete them. And I just knew and I saw it and I never once doubted it. And my big thing was, this keeps happening when I'm on vacations. And I feel so thankful for the gifts of even being able to see it, just the little glimmers. It's a blessing because it keeps you going. But then I often come back home and I sort of lose some of that magic. And I was determined this time, I'm like, I'm bringing that home with me. And insert now, I'm going to give you, while I was in Costa Rica, some of the things that I was saying, hey, this is what I've learned from Costa Rica this time. But I want to add a little bit more details to one of the things.
Okay, some medicine from Costa Rica. Always count on the waves getting your valuables. Never turn your back to the ocean because you're going to miss the pelicans. Pelicans? I hope you can see that. Hi. Always expect the unexpected and learn to pivot and learn to go with the actual flow and tide. Everything is ever changing and ever evolving and in flux and unpredictable, but it always works out. You just gotta trust it. Never, ever, ever take a day for granted. Pura vida, pure life, every day. Never miss a sunset. Just know that you're gonna process a lot. So much processing. All right, I gotta go take a picture of this pelican.
to one of the things. Something I talked about was pivoting. And that's because it was me and 3 guys that were kind of traveling around Costa Rica this time together, and all very different personalities, different agendas, different expectations. And there was a lot of times where we had to pivot plans, pivot conversations, and it taught me a lot about managing expectations. And that's something that I will probably make an entire video on at some point, because it's something that has been a big lesson of mine. But it taught me a lot about pivoting and just, like I said, just breathing and releasing the need to control whatever the experience is, and allowing me to recognize that where I can show up and what is in my control is my response to the stimuli that the world brings to me. And so if I'm trying to control what this person thinks, or where we're going over here, or what's this going to do, or the weather, or the blah, 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 I'm wasting my energy, because I don't have control over any of that. But what I do have control over is, am I staying in my energy? Am I being triggered by things that people aren't even meaning to trigger me? Am I allowing myself to really be in the moment, or am I trying to manufacture a moment? That one. Got called out a few times for that, and I appreciate the call out. And as I often say, is that oftentimes if somebody says something, that a word that kind of adds a little friction, it's usually information that I need to hear. And so, yeah, there's going to be so many videos that is part of me integrating all of the lessons that came up, because I was there for 2 weeks, and it was a much different Costa Rica experience than all the other times I've went. And I trust when I go back next, it will also be a different Costa Rica experience. I do believe that each time you go, the country shows herself to you at a deeper and deeper level. And there's just some things that I, on a cellular level, recognize in Costa Rica. And a lot of y'all have been asking me if I'm planning on moving there, because if you remember, it's 2024 now. It is the year that Eric and I will be selling our house. But I don't have any set stone plans. In fact, we don't even know when we're going to be putting the house on the market. Everything's very fluid right now, and I am leaning with that. And I'm taking the steps I need to be taking every day with my license process, as well as also engaging in my own creative practice, so that when everything does kind of reveal itself to me, as I know it will, because I'm creating much more space, much more stillness, much less distraction for it to, I'll be ready. And as soon as I know the details, I will come tell y'all. And who knows where I'll land. I do deeply, deeply love Costa Rica, but experiencing it through people who live there just shows you it's a hard life. It's a beautiful life. Beautiful. But it's hard. It's hard earned. The roads, the access to things, makes you work for it a little bit. So, in all of my integrating, I'm sure there will be many more videos to come, but really, really what I'm leaning into is making sure I'm continuing to create the space to not only integrate the lessons, but to keep being able to see, hey, I am going to be able to do all of these things that I'm dreaming of. I am going to be able to pursue all these goals. I am going to be a published author. It is all going to happen. It's all happening, and isn't it wonderful? Because really what it's going to take from me is to be disciplined and to notice the difference between, am I connecting when I'm on my phone, or am I distracting? And if I'm distracting, I need to put it down and connect back with myself. So I hope that's helpful for somebody. I know there's more to come, and enjoy this little sunset to ease you out of the video, and I'll see you all soon. Marlo just wanted to say hi to this community and to thank you for watching my videos.
We love you. Say we love you.